Good evening, guys. I know it's late, but I am getting this out where I do not have to do it tomorrow because today is my birthday and I'm leaving early, so I want to go and do this because first round games start Tuesday. This is Alendrum with Carolina Varsity, breaking down and predicting the first round of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association state playoffs in basketball. Just the Catawba Valley area teams that I cover. It's the first time ever doing this, so if I don't get it right, forgive me, but I think I'm going to give it a shot. And I think I looked over the games, and I think I'm ready to make my projections. I'm going to start with the girls. In the two-way, we got 18 Madison versus 15 Bandies. Bandies, they did have a bad loss to Maiden earlier in the season. Bandies, I was really impressed the way they played Newton Conover. They were only down by five at halftime, but eventually lost by 15. Madison, I looked at their schedule and was not impressed. They looked a mediocre team at best. This game could go either way, but I'm gonna go and pick Bandies at home. Like I said, I would not be surprised. Madison wins this. Next game, I've got number 20 Pisgah at number 13 Bunker Hill. Pisgah, they played a common opponent as Bunker Hill. They played Bunker Hill pretty tight. Not Inca, about the same way as Bunker Hill, and I like actually Pisgah in this game. Bunker Hill only lost a very good East Burke team by 5 points last night, but Pisgah their schedule looked pretty amazing. I'm not seeing either of these teams, but I'm giving the edge here to Pisgah. I like 20 Pisgah over 13 Bunker Hill. Next game's Patton, number 21 seed versus West Wilkes. West Wilkes, I was very impressed with. They beaten some good teams. Patton, I'm not really impressed by them. They ain't done too much. So I'm gonna go with West Wilkes in that game. Next game is North Wilkes versus Newton Conover. One thing that spells out Newton Conover is China Cornwell, averaging 28 points per game, 20 rebounds. Gotta go with Newton Conover in this game. Red Devils advanced to play a very good West Wilkes team. I'm hoping for an East Burke Newton Conover third round matchup, but I do not know if that's going to be the case because West Wilkes, to me, could beat Newton Conover in that second round. I'll give my thought on that if that matchup comes to fruition. But right now, I got to go with Newton Conover North Wilkes. Next matchup is number 29 Ashe County versus East Burke. East Burke's had a very good season. Ashe, I looked at their schedule and I know I think they lost to North Wilkes. Wasn't too impressed by their resume. I got to go with East Burke at home. I like them advance to at least the third round. Next matchup is Fred T. Ford versus Salisbury. Congratulations to Fred T. Ford. They finally ended their playoff drought. The Lady Tigers, unfortunately, has to play a very good Salisbury team. Got to go with the Hornets here. Big. They'll be moving on to the second round. Okay, and let's go to 3A. We have number 20 Watauga versus 13 Mount Tabor. Watauga, they're decent, but I like Mount Tabor in this game. The Lady Spartans will advance to the second round, that 2013 matchup. Next one is Ashbrook versus Hickory. Barbara Hams coaches the Lady Red Tornadoes. They're not as good as they used to be, but had a very decent year this year. I like Hickory to advance to the next round. This one right here, Freedom versus AC Reynolds. I've seen AC Reynolds, and they had a very down year. The Lady Rockets. Freedom, one of the best teams in the area, in the ladies' behalf. Got to go with the Lady of Patriots in this game, and that is actually, and also McDowell. They have a bye, so they do not play in the first round. So that's the girls' portion. Let's go to the boys 2A. East Lincoln Mustangs play North Surrey, the Greyhounds. This matchup is pretty easy to project. I like the Greyhounds to get stopped by the Mustangs. East Lincoln wins easily. Next game, 16 Lexington. Well, 16 Bunker Hill versus 17 Lexington. Lexington plays in a very brutal conference. I've seen they played very tough opponents. Bunker Hill, I'm not impressed with Bunker Hill as much. They did beat a very good High Brighton team twice in the regular season, but I think Lexington's a little too much for Bunker Hill, and I like the actually Lexington's coming off with a finals victory over North Davidson, and that's why I like the Jackets to beat the Bears, move on to the next round to beat East Lincoln. Lexington and East Lincoln could be a very good matchup, depending on which East Lincoln shows up, the one that lost to Maiden or the one that's been plowing all year. That could be an interesting second-round matchup. Next, Wheatmore versus Lake Norman Charter. Lake Norman Charter, they've been up and down all year. Wheatmore, they kind of have a very weak schedule, very weak conference. What I was seeing, and honestly, if Lake Norman Charter played anything like their potential, the way they played Maiden that one time, I believe they could win. But I think Wheatmore is going to win this game by maybe 8 to 10 points. So I'm gonna have Wheatmore moving on. Next matchup, a lot of people is looking at me like I'm crazy, but number 12, Walkertown versus 21, High Brighton. High Brighton, they're a very good coach team. Finished third, but advanced to the finals and barely lost to Drawn in that tournament final. They could have easily won that Northern Foothills 2A conference easily. They're playing 12, Walkertown. Walkertown started very hot. I know they got a prospect that's going to Virginia Tech. But if he don't have a Chris Robinson night, I like High Brighton to actually pick the upset here. So I'm actually going with 21 High Brighton. High Brighton they play like a caliber number 1 seed out of their conference, and I believe they're going to upset Walkertown. Walkertown, they played in a very weak conference. I know they lost to Atkins in their conference tournament that barely beat North Iredell. North Iredell is not an impressive team. Also, if I want to go back to girls more than I think about it, West Wilkes, they only lost by 5 to a very good North Iredell girls team just outside my area. I think they lost by 5 to them one time. That is why I'm picking West Wilkes to give Newton Conover a very good game. That is going to be a very good second round matchup for the Lady Red Devils. That is going to be a tight one. But back to the boys. Got some good games right here. Getting ready to actually get into. Next matchup I've got is Shelby versus Bandy's. I had Bandy's actually in my projections. I only had one team out that got in that I believe shouldn't have not got in over one team. I'll explain when I get to 3A. But next matchup I've got number 3, Shelby versus 30, Bandy. Shelby is a very, very good team. I like Shelby to move on. Bandy's, They played Maiden very close once. Gave Newton Conover a fit in the first round into double overtime, but Trojans would go to the playoffs, but they will lose to Shelby, I say by 20. So the Golden Lions move on, and I believe that would be an upset if Bandies would win that game. Number 6, Mountain Heritage versus 27, Lincolnton. The only question here is if Chris Robinson goes off for 55, then Lincoln has a chance. I'm not impressed with Mountain Heritage's schedule. They played a couple area teams I know about. They beat them by like 11 and stuff like that. But Lincoln's capable of beating anybody. They did beat Maiden at the buzzer. Chris Robinson, if he has a big night, Wolves can have a chance in this game. But Mountain Heritage, that trip, 3-hour bus trip for the Wolves on a Tuesday night, school night, it's going to be tough for them. I'm going to have to go with Mountain Heritage in this game. This one right here is probably the biggest toss-up in the playoffs, is number 11, Maiden, versus number 22, Newton Conover, that will meet less than a week. They played Thursday night with Newton Conover winning that game by 4 games, and some of the questionable officiating I ever seen in my life. But enough with that. Maiden played cold in that first half. I've seen Newton Conover twice. Martinez, he is very good. Maiden, they got a group of seniors. They can beat anybody but lose to anyone. It's hard to pick against Newton Conover in this game, the way they played, but I know Maiden has a little advantage Newton don't, and that is actually scouting them in that tournament final by a team they actually beat in East Lincoln. And with that case, with the seniors, I believe Newton Conover is still a year away. I like the Blue Devils to advance to face Mountain Heritage in the second round. I got Maiden win by 5. Next game is actually another toss-up, is Patton versus Drawn. Drawn's a very good team. They won their tournament and actually regular season. Patton, they gave the Wildcats all they could handle in the semifinals. This could be a toss-up here, but I'm going to go with the Wildcats moving on as the 7th seed. Next game is a total mismatch with a team that should have not got in, and I'm talking about Watauga. The Pioneers, to me, I'll say my honest opinion, has no business being in there instead of Crest. Crest, they made it to their conference finals, lost to Huss Friday night by 10. They beat a very good Kings Mountain team at Kings Mountain. They played Shelby. They played Huss twice. Watauga, they played Freedom. Yes, Freedom is a very good team, but Freedom struggled in their conference tournament. They played Hickory, yes. But I can honestly say my heart goes out to Crest. They should have got in at that 32 seed, and Watauga. Nothing against the Pioneers. They're a very good team, but Crest deserved to be in here, not Watauga. Get it right. Get it right. But enough with the arguing. Southwest Guilford moves on in a blowout. Next, I got Hickory versus Ashboro. Ashboro, I've seen them, not impressed with their schedule. I like the Red Tornadoes to move on. Southern Guilford versus Alexander Central. Alexander Central, they play in that Northwestern 3A4 conference, not too strong. They played Maiden one time, got blown out. I like Southern Guilford to move on. Freedom versus West Henderson. The Patriots lost in the finals to Hickory last night. Friday night in the Northwestern 3A, 4A. But I believe they'll get past West Henderson. West Henderson has been up and down all season. I like the Patriots to move on. In our only 4A game this week, and the Catawba, for the first round, because second round's Thursday, but we have the RJ Reynolds. They take on McDowell. McDowell gets in because of the automatic berth. I like RJ here. They move on easily, but honestly, I still don't understand why Crest did not get in. That baffles me. That's the reason I actually had Watauga out of the playoffs, because I believed Crest punched their ticket when they beaten Kings Mountain. I had them in before the final, but the state saw it differently. And I mean, like I said, I don't understand this max preps ranking. You play your conference tournament now, not even for a number 2 seed anymore, just to try to get in the playoffs. Crest, my heart goes out for you. Good luck next year. I hope they don't graduate too many. I'll ask Jeff if they did, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. Everybody support your local teams as they battle in the state playoffs. Good luck all area local teams in my area and beyond the state of North Carolina. But this is Alan Jitty for Carolina Varsity. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.